Hello, children. It is Dad / Steve. I love you and miss you, and I am making this video to let you know that, and to continue on with our story, Thumbelina. Now, last we left off, the summer was over, and they were getting ready to marry Thumbelina to that mole. So here we go. Every morning when the sun arose, and every evening when it set, she crept out of the doors. And when the wind parted the tops of the grain, so that she could see the blue sky, she thought how beautiful it was in the light. And she longed to see the dear swallow once more. But it never came back. It must certainly have flown far away into the greenwood. When autumn came, Thumbelina's outfit was ready. "In 4 weeks you shall be wedded," said the field mouse. But Thumbelina started to cry, and said that she could not marry the tiresome mole. "Fiddlesticks," said the field mouse. Don't be stubborn, or I shall bite you with my white teeth." Or in Dad's case, yellow teeth, I guess. "Such a handsome husband as you're going to have. What more do you want? The queen herself has not the like of his black fur coat. He has stocks, too, in both the kitchen and the cellar." That means he has a lot of stuff. "Be thankful for a wealthy and good-looking husband," says I. And so they were to be married. The mole had already come to carry Thumbelina away. She was to live with him deep down underground, and never come up to the warm sunlight at all, for he could not bear it. The poor child was very distressed, but she got his permission to bid the beautiful sun farewell, and for a while she had lived with the field mouse. She had always been allowed to look at the sun from the door anyhow. "Farewell, dear golden sun," she said, and stretched her arms high in the air, even going a little way beyond the field mouse's door, for the grain had been reaped, and only dry stubble stood there now, so she could see the sun better. "Farewell, farewell," she cried, and threw her tiny arms round a little scarlet flower which grew there. "Greet the dear swallow from me if you ever see him." "Kiewit, kiewit," sounded at that very moment right above her head. That was the sound the bird made, remember? She looked up. It was the swallow just passing by. As soon as he saw Thumbelina, he was delighted. She told him how she disliked the idea of having the nasty mole for a husband, and having to live with him deep down under the ground where the sun never shone. She could not keep back her tears as she told him. "The cold winter is coming now," said the swallow. "I'm going to fly far away to the warm lands. Will you come with me? You can sit upon my back. You only have to tie yourself tight with your sash, and then we'll fly right away from the ugly mole in his dark room, right over the mountains into the warm lands where the sun shines lovelier than here, and where it is always summer." It's like down where you guys live. "Do pray fly away with me, you sweet little Thumbelina, who saved my life when I lay frozen in the dark earthly cellar." "Yes, I'll go with you," said Thumbelina gladly. She sat on the bird's back, her feet resting on his outspread wings, tied her belt tightly to one of his strongest feathers, and then the swallow flew high up into the air, over the woods, over the seas, high up over the big mountains where the snow always lies. Thumbelina was almost frozen in the cold air, but she crept right in under the bird's warm feathers, only peeping out now and then to see all the beautiful sights beneath her. At last they came to the warm lands. There the sun shone more brightly. The sky was twice as high in the air, somehow. In hedge and field grew the loveliest green and blue grapes. Blue grapes. Imagine that. In the woods hung lemons and oranges, and there was a fragrance of balsam, which I think is a kind of flower. and myrtle along the roads. Oh, and the balsam and myrtle, and along the roads ran lovely children playing with large speckled butterflies. But the swallow flew farther still, and everything became lovelier and grander. Beneath the stately green trees near a blue lake stood a dazzling white marble palace from the old days. Vine tendrils twined up and around the high pillars, and up the very top were a number of swallows' nests. In one of those lived the swallow who had carried Thumbelina. "Here is my house," said the swallow, "but pray choose one of the most splendid of the flowers that grow, and I'll put you there, and you can have as happy a time as you want." "Oh, that would be lovely," she cried, clapping her tiny hands. Here's some pictures, by the way. Here's a picture of the swallow flying away. And here's a picture of the spiders from the last part that were weaving a web for her clothes. On the ground lay a large white marble column which had fallen and broken into 3 pieces, and between them grew the loveliest white flowers. The swallow flew down with Thumbelina and placed her on one of the broad leaves. But how amazed she was when she saw a little elf sitting in the very middle of the flower, as white and transparent as if he were made of glass. He had on his head a tiny gold crown and bright wings on his shoulders, and he was scarcely any bigger than Thumbelina. He was the elf of the flower. In every flower there lived such a little man or woman, but he was the king of all of them. "How handsome he is," whispered Thumbelina to the swallow. The little prince was quite frightened at the swallow, for to him it was a gigantic bird. But when he saw Thumbelina he was delighted. She was the very prettiest girl he'd ever seen. He took his gold crown from his head and put it on hers, asking her name and begging her to be his wife, and she would be the queen of the flowers. Now this was something like a husband, and very different from the son of the toad or the mole in his black fur coat. So she said yes to the pretty prince, and from every flower came forth a lord or lady elf, all so grateful that it was a joy to behold them. At the wedding, everyone brought Thumbelina a present, but the best of all was a pair of pretty wings from a large white fly. They were fastened on Thumbelina's back so that she could fly from flower to flower, and there was great merrymaking, for the swallow sat overhead in his nest and sang to them as well he could. But at his heart he was distressed, for he loved Thumbelina and he would have liked to be with her always. "Farewell, farewell," sang the swallow a little later, and flew away again to the warm land, or far away from the warm land, far, far away back to Denmark. There was a little nest above the window of the man who tells fairy tales, and it sang to him, "Kiwit, Kiwit." And that is how we got this story. There's one last picture. Well, there it is, the end of Thumbelina. We have made it through. Congratulations. Now, I love you girls, and I miss you a lot. And I hope things are going well. I know you guys are probably getting ready to go back to school here in a few weeks. Dad goes back to school as well. So I'll be, not in the same school, but I'll be going to school while you're going to school. So we can help each other with our homework, eh? So, alright. I love you girls very, very much. I hope you had a great day. And I hope you enjoyed the story. Bye-bye.